Hi, everybody. Welcome to the program. It's good to have you here on a Wednesday night. It's hump day. We are almost through the week. At least I like to be optimistic. I thought Florida was kind of a get tough on crime state, right? I always thought Florida, look, if you're going to commit a crime, be careful. If you do it in Florida, they have death penalty there. They use it a lot. But I found this story that kind of made my head shake. Guy gets arrested for a second-degree murder. He's denied bond, and there's got to be a reason that he's denied bond. You deny bond if you're not safe to the community or you're a flight risk. That's usually the two factors, right? He's denied bond. But the judge lets him out to go to his dad's funeral. How does that happen? And if you think that's weird, I got another one for you. No guards, no cops, no supervision, just hall pass. Get out of jail free card for the day. I'm going to go over all of this with the victim's mother, who is none too pleased about all of this, and also a judge who cannot believe that this happened. I want to know just how often it happens and why. And also coming up on the show, I'm a big Netflix fan. I like to chill. And I saw The Son of Sam the other night. I love the Son of Sam story. Every time I see something on the Son of Sam, I stop, I watch, I listen. This recent docuseries has all these tapes that have been unearthed, audio tapes from a reporter who visited the Son of Sam a whole bunch of times and put out the microphone and listened. And those audio tapes are now surfacing on this docuseries, to which I say, thank you, Jesus. But tonight we've got the videotapes. Tonight we have actual videotapes. Not just audio tapes, interviews with David Berkowitz, who said some things. Take a listen.
Something had gotten a hold of my life, something demonic, and I just kind of lost my way.
He just kind of lost his way. P.S. Don't you love catching up with a guy who's been in prison for almost 50 years, right? Because if you'd said that was David Berkowitz, the Son of Sam, I'd have said you're a monkey's uncle. But that was him. You're going to hear a whole lot more, and you're going to see how much he's changed over all these years. P.S. He's only halfway through his sentence because he got over a century. So that might make you feel better. And then I'm going to wrap up the show later on with something that you got to see, because I know you probably think if you've seen one police chase, you've seen them all. But that is not the case in the story I'm going to show you a little bit later. There's one NYPD cop who had to not only fight a suspect, she had to fight the water's current to collar the suspect. Take a look.
Take my belt.
One more public safety, I need units to Beach 8.
Bring it up here.
Avenue. I got a permit to jump in the water. Notify Harbor Central, I'm going to need their assistance. So I'm going to need units to cover the beach.
Jim, are you ready?
Temple, 101 units, right?
Nick, where do you need our units?
I got a partner who's going to jump into water, notify the harbor. I mean, that is such a New York story, except for the whole water part. I'm going to show you how this all played out. There she is. Look at her. She's going after him like he is not going to get away. And wait until you see what she did when she got to him. It is so rich and so awesome. I want to meet this lady. I'm going to do my best to find her and to get her on this show. Anyway, you're going to see the tape in a hot minute, but I want to start here. Whoever said there's two sides to every story maybe didn't cover the same stuff that I do. Trials, yes, there's two sides to every trial, and every suspect is innocent until and unless he or she is found guilty. But once that happens, or once the suspect confesses, they lose their right to a side. At that point, only the victim gets a side. The victimizer gets whatever's coming to him. And I say all of this because of a murder case in Florida that never would have caught our attention, except for one judge's ruling that's got lawyers everywhere buzzing. The case is Florida versus Larry Lamar Smith. He's a 20-year-old man. Police say he murdered 19-year-old Myrah Zeigler. It happened in May outside of a party at an Airbnb in Fort Lauderdale. Larry Smith vanished after the shooting, but he was caught on July 6th during a traffic stop. also in Fort Lauderdale. And that is when he was also charged with second-degree murder. Larry Smith pleaded not guilty, and the judge denied Larry Smith bond, meaning that Larry was going to stay in jail until his trial. And that would have been that until Larry Smith's father passed away. And so Larry Smith and his lawyers asked for a free pass. They asked for a get-out-of-jail card so that Larry Smith, an accused murderer, could go to his dad's wake and go to his dad's funeral. Two different events, 2 different days. The judge said no, but only to the wake. Surprisingly, the judge said yes to the funeral. And that is when Larry Smith was granted something called pre-trial level 2 supervision, which basically means he was fitted for a GPS monitor and released to the custody of his mommy. That happened at 9 a.m. last Saturday with strict orders. Make sure you're home by 7, back to jail, where you may end up serving life for a very long time with no parole, be a good boy, come on back. Weirdly, no guards ordered to be with Larry Smith, no cops ordered to be with Larry Smith, no supervision, just a day off from jail for the funeral. I know, I'm with you. I can't understand it. Why did they say no bail then? Good thing for him, and a good thing for all of us. Larry Smith did decide to return to jail that night. So what this means is that we got a man alleged to have shot a woman to death before deciding to flee the scene. A man who chose to return to the Broward County lockup before he became a fugitive for a second time, which does not make the Broward County prosecutors any happier about Smith's whole get-out-of-jail thing. But as they well know at this point, Smith is only a defendant. In the eyes of the law, he's innocent for now. In the eyes of Myrah Zeigler's mother, however, whole different story. He's anything but. The dead woman's mom, Alacia Ford-Barron, called the judge's decision a, quote, slap in the face, and accused the court of ignoring her concerns about her own safety. Alacia is here live tonight with me, along with her husband, Myrah's stepdad, Monty Barron. Welcome to both of you, and may I just say I am so sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry that you're going through not only grieving, which is hard enough, but also this very bizarre political story. Alacia, can I ask you, how did you learn that Larry Smith had been furloughed and was being given a day off from prison to go to his father's funeral?
First of all, I want to say thank you. I found out the following day, the next day, the detective made it her business to call me to let me know that Larry Smith was going to be released to go to his father's funeral.
So this was the day after permission had been granted. Were you ever consulted? Were you contacted? Were you asked for any input on the process before a decision was made to give him a free pass?
No, ma'am. No, I wasn't. I ended up calling the victim advocate after I got off the phone with the detective. And the victim advocate told me she was getting to calling me.
So a victim's advocate existed in your case, and a victim's advocate didn't call you either in advance of or even after the fact?
No. And when she talked to me, she said that she did tell me that he was going in for a furlough, but I had no clue about it, because if I did, I would have been there that day to say what I needed to say to stop him.
And that's exactly what I want to give you the opportunity to say right now. What was your reaction to all of this? What's your reaction to the decision to let this man out?
It was a slap in my face for this young man to take my daughter's life and just freely walk out of jail, to be able to hug his mother, to be able to hug his family, to be able to sit in his bed, to be able to breathe the air that my daughter will not be able to breathe. I can't go to her grave. I can't pick her out and say, hey, let me spend time with my daughter today and take her back. So it was like a slap in my face. It really hurted me to feel that the judge would grant him to be able to go to a funeral. How can you let a killer out, an accused killer out? How? No supervision.
Monty, you've been a part of Myrah's life since she was just past toddler. I mean, I think 4 years old. I can't imagine how you're processing all of this. Did the courts ever reach out to you to tell you if he'd returned after his day out of prison?
There was no call, no. We both had been contacted through Vine. No one contacted us. We didn't get a phone call. My wife calling, checking, and we finally got in contact with the sergeant. And after the time, he both had been returned. So I didn't know what to do because I didn't know what the plans was, if he still was out or not.
So, Alacia, as I understand it, there are a lot of factors at play here when it comes to the safety of the community, but maybe none more than your safety, you and your family's safety, and maybe the witnesses who might be a part of the upcoming trial. Did anyone talk about their safety? Was there an outcry from the community about this?
Yes. Fort Pierce, my community, they came through. People were calling in, complaining about releasing him. And I believe because of my community calling, because of me coming on live talking, I believe that's what got the judge attention and had him to do a clarification of furlough the following day, which was Thursday.
As I understand it, the original plan, and correct me if I'm wrong, was that he was supposed to get almost 2 days, maybe even more, out of jail to be able to attend family functions. And then suddenly there was a clarification and it became a one-day event. And you think that that's because of the outcry from the community that heard this was happening and was none too happy?
I am sure it was because of the outcry of me, the community, because all eyes on the judge. Why would you do that? Why would you let him out? You know, I can't even hold my daughter no more. I can't even see her. I can't even hear her. I can't do anything anymore, you know, but just look at the videos and remember the memories of her. So again, it was like a slap in my face. I'm expecting you all to protect me and my family and everyone else that is involved. Why would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, the potential, of the witnesses. I mean, maybe notifying them as well that there was somebody who, whose entire freedom was based on what these witnesses might say. Were these witnesses available? Alacia Ford-Barron and Monty Barron, thank you so much for being on the program. Again, my heart goes out to both of you in dealing what you've been dealing with, not just the mourning of your daughter, but also knowing that this has happened. We'll continue to follow this. Thank you for being on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So obviously this trial is still upcoming, and I sure wish I could ask that judge how he came to this decision. But the honest truth here is that judges don't talk about their active cases, just about ever. I don't know any judge who's ever talked with me about an active case. Judges don't often talk about other people's cases either. So I called one of my favorite former judges, who's also a former prosecutor and current dean of the St. Thomas University College of Law. Tarlika Nunez-Navarro, welcome back to the program. It's nice to have you here, especially when I am as flummoxed as I am about a judge that denies a man bond but lets him out unsupervised for a whole day off. Are you surprised with this?
Good evening, Ashleigh. It's good to see you. Yes, I was surprised, and I was extremely disappointed to see it happened in the county that I sat in, Broward County, at one time. These are my colleagues. You know, I would never talk poorly about them, but I do question this decision, and I am just very thankful we have the defendant behind bars tonight.
Why deny bond if there's not enough worry that a man could leave jail for a full day without a police officer, without a guard, with just simply, you know, one of those adorable ankle monitors that I've seen cut off so many times?
Well, I mean, it's a second-degree murder with a firearm. It's a 25-year minimum mandatory to life sentence. That's why you deny bond. And you deny the furlough as well. I mean, in my years of criminal defense work and my years of prosecution and sitting on the bench, I never granted a furlough for a funeral. And we get this request daily. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time that a defendant asked for a furlough, I would be, you know, not working.
So how rare, I mean, for you, obviously, it's extraordinarily rare. How rare is it, say, across the state of Florida and across the country for somebody who, again, is innocent until proven guilty, right? He's in jail awaiting trial. How rare is it to get a free pass to go to a funeral of a loved one?
It's quite rare, Ashleigh. You know, I also sat in the middle of Florida in the Ninth Judicial Circuit, which is the Orlando, Kissimmee area. And I sat there as a criminal judge as well. I never granted a furlough. And it was, I don't even recall hearing of a furlough being granted pretrial in a second-degree murder case.
Right. And I mean, I don't hear of it very often, and I would think that there'd be a guard or a police officer or someone to make sure that this guy didn't just run. But I'm also extremely concerned about the witnesses in the case, because there were apparently witnesses in this shooting. The grave risk to them. In that case, would the court have notified them? Would they have been a part of the process if the victim's family members weren't even a part of the process?
You know, I can't guess at what the prosecutors did. I hope that they would have notified the witnesses in advance. I heard the mother say that she was on a list to be called, and I believe that. This is a state attorney's office that I believe in. I worked there. I'm friends with the state attorney, and I know they run a good operations there. They did object. Now, they did object in the first hearing and the second hearing. And, you know, I just would hope that the witnesses were contacted.
I mean, I'm just so gobsmacked by all of it. When you've got prosecutors saying no, when you've got Marcy's law that takes into account how victims' family members are treated in the process, the fact that they were told the day after the free pass was given and then never even told that the guy reported back, you know, for jail, it just, it boggles the mind. Judge, I love having you on. I'm so appreciative of your wisdom and your service to this country. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Ashleigh. It's great to see you.
Always a pleasure to have Judge Tarlika Nunez-Navarro with us, and she will be back. I have a mystery for you. How did a nondescript senior citizen ever make 8 million New Yorkers afraid to walk the city streets? How did he terrorize them so much they wouldn't sit in a parked car? The answer? He killed New Yorkers randomly for an entire year, but he definitely had a type. His name is David Berkowitz, known as the Son of Sam, and he's the subject of a popular docuseries that's unearthed hours and hours of prison interviews on audio tape never before heard. But tonight, we have the videotapes. You're going to see them after the break. I have sat face-to-face with a few convicted murderers over the years inside the dismal confines of maximum security prisons. And let me tell you, I am always glad that the pass they give me lets me out. Make no mistake, as depressing as it is to walk around inside those prison walls and spend time with people who are condemned to a life of hell by their own doing, it is without question some of the most fascinating work that a true crime reporter can do, as I am sure my next guest agrees. Last year, he traveled to upstate New York to interview the infamous Son of Sam, David Berkowitz, who was arrested 48 years ago this week on August the 10th, 1977. Berkowitz had killed 6 people in a span of 13 months and paralyzed the entire city of New York with fear. He was 23 years old when he killed his first victim, but now he is 72 and still not even halfway through his 150-year sentence. You get 25 years for each victim to serve consecutively. Michael Franzese spoke with the son of Sam for his very popular YouTube series, Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Have a listen.
If someone would have told me when I was in the services, look, Dave, when you go back to New York, you know, you're going to have some problems. You're going to end up in prison. You're going to, you know, mess up real bad. I would look at them like, what are you talking about? Well, you know, I got a vision of you getting into trouble later on. I said, well, there's no way. I had good goals. I mean, I never thought this would happen. I never dreamed by wildest imagination. But I remember coming back to this, to New York, to my friends from Co-op City, and found out that, you know, everyone was in a period of transition. And so I was trying to find my way, and it was kind of lonely. I was looking for my hope in life was to, when I got out of the Army, you know, get a job, take advantage of the GI Bill, get an education, find a girlfriend, get married.
Ooh, girlfriend, married. Michael Franzese is the former capo in the Colombo crime family and author of the book From the Godfather to God the Father. And he joins me again live on the program. Michael, it's good to have you back on the show. I can't hear enough of that interview. It is so awesome. How did you land it?
Well, you know, a good friend of mine, Mike Caparelli, he's a research psychologist, and he went to visit David. He actually wrote a book, Monster Mirror, I think was featured on Netflix. He spent about 100 hours with him, just talking about his crime, his emotional state, and all of that. And during that conversation, David told him that he knew of me, and that he read my book, Blood Covenant, many years ago, and he had become a person of faith. And he said he would love to sit down with me if he ever had the opportunity to do so. So Mike called me, and I said, yeah, let's make it happen. And so that's how we got together.
So during the interview, Berkowitz says that he was traumatized by demons since he was a kid. I want to play that clip and ask you about it on the other side. Take a look.
I feel I was really traumatized by demons since I was a child. And I've gotten so much evidence of this over the years. After I became a Christian, I didn't understand it back then, but the Lord opened up my eyes years later to see all of these different events that kind of gelled together to cause this to happen. And I always had a fascination with like the darkness. I would just say some prayers and make promises to the devil. I came under some strange teachings which talked about the end of the world, and we have to do our part to bring in the end of the world, to set up the new millennium. It was just a bunch of satanic. By this time, I was about 22.
Michael, he talks a lot about, you know, darkness and blaming the devil, but did you get a sense that almost half a century locked up has changed him, that he's a different person, that he makes sense, that he's not the absolute, Looney Tune that he was when they arrested him?
Well, you know, I have to say this, you know, I do believe that he's not doing this for any other reason other than he's trying to explain himself a little bit. He did say to me, you know, Michael, I know I'm never getting out. I'm never going to get parole. He said, I don't deserve parole. As a matter of fact, he had stopped going to the parole board, and they told him, no, you need to go. Just you have to show up. It'll be worse for you. So he shows up just because he has to show up, but he knows he's never coming out. You know, I think he was very honest with me. I happen to believe him. He just laid it all on the table. We spent several hours together. He told me, I said, David, what kind of childhood did you have, you know? And he said, look, it was pretty normal. He was adopted. His parents were good to him. You know, he found out later on, he was told, this is one thing that really troubled me. He was told all the while that his mother and father, his real mother and father, were dead. They didn't exist any longer. And then they told him that for a long time. And then later on, they told him, well, we didn't tell you the truth. Your mom is really alive. And then he tried to reach out and reach his mother. And then he tried to reach his father. And some things really troubled him about that. So the bottom line, and I can't get into all the interview, you have it, but I believe that he was very sincere. You know, he's become a person of faith. He actually does Bible studies in there with inmates every week. He gets hundreds of letters every week from people that he tries to discourage who are thinking about doing some of the things that he did. It was quite scary when he told me that. Yeah, he said he gets
wow,
Michael,
that's something.
I know. He said, I get hundreds of letters and I try to discourage these people from doing anything crazy like I did. But yeah, he did tell me he was into devil worship at one time and Satanism. He did meet up with a couple of people that were into that. It did take a hold of him for a while. You know, that's why he was saying, you know, his dog was possessed. And I mean, it was a crazy conversation. I'd never spoken to anybody like that before, and I met a lot of, you know, different people on the street. Let's put it that way. But you know, the bottom line,
Yeah,
I believe,
to say the least.
Yeah, I believe he's sincere.
So let me ask you real quickly. I want to play this one clip and ask you about it as well. He talks about why he began to amass weapons. Take a look.
The term would be mental health issues, but I know it was also spiritual issues. There's something had gotten a hold of my life, something demonic, and I just kind of lost my way. You know, my thinking became very delusional. I thought there were people in the neighborhood after me. You know, I got some weapons, a shotgun, a rifle, a pistol, and you know, I was really living. Although in some ways I was, you know, living my life, inwardly I was just wrestling with this forces of darkness.
So, Michael, the final question for you, having been face to face and really believing that he's sincere in the way he speaks, he may one day choose to go to those parole hearings and actually try to get parole. He's got one coming up next year. Would you feel safe on the street if he was out?
You know, that's a tough question. Listen, I had a good conversation with him for 2.5 hours. That's the extent of my, you know, my knowledge of him. I believed everything that he told me during that time, how he was possessed, how it was demonic, how it was more in a spiritual battle than an emotional battle. But, you know, he told me, maybe I don't deserve to be out on the street. I'm not looking to get parole. I'm never going to ask for it. That's what he told me. So I don't know. Can that ever recur in somebody? You had these battles spiritually, you know, at one point in time, cause you to do these horrible things. Could it ever occur again? I don't know. You know, that's a tough question.
Boy, you and I got to meet again when that parole hearing is scheduled for next year. Will you do that? Will you come back? Absolutely. Awesome interview, my friend. Holy Dinah. Let me just give you props again here. If anybody wants to go to the YouTube show, it is called, real quickly, Eek. I had it in front of me a second ago. Tell me real quickly. Oh, yeah, Sit Down with Michael Franzese. That's where they can find the full interview, right? Sit Down with Michael Franzese on YouTube?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, I highly encourage it. It is so telling. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
All right, we'll see you again for sure. Okay, folks, as you prepare to send your kids back to school, it may be in the back of your mind that this year we've seen kind of an unprecedented number of teachers arrested for having sex with their students. But the latest case really takes the cake. A substitute teacher in her 30s whose victim was just 11. A teacher whose excuse to the cops was that the little boy hit on me first. How do you suppose that's going to go over with the judge? The man who defended Mary Kay Letourneau is live with me next. Blaming the victim is a dodge as old as crime itself, and it never gets any less repugnant. But it may have hit, shall we say, a brand new low in the case of a substitute teacher in Decatur, Illinois. A former substitute teacher, I should say, because she ain't working no more. She was arrested last year for having sex with a student during so-called play dates at her house. The ex-teacher's name is Ashleigh Banfield. She's 32 years old, and the child that she admitted to molesting was just 11 years old at the time. 11. The little boy's mom found hundreds of dollars that Ashleigh Banfield had cash-apped her son, along with messages and explicit photos on Snapchat. And what did Ashleigh Banfield have to say for herself when she sat across a table from the detectives? She said the boy came on to her. What? An 11-year-old little boy. She said, he hit on me first. Last week, Banfield pleaded guilty to predatory criminal sexual assault, a crime punishable by 60 years in prison. In exchange for copping to it, The state agreed to cap Ms. Barfield's sentence at 40 years, but the judge is going to have the final say next month. And if all of this sounds a little too familiar, I'm with you. This summer also brought the case of Brittany Fortenberry, an Indiana teacher accused of making kids as young as 13 wear scream masks during mushroom and liquor-fueled orgies. Ms. Fortenberry is charged with 41 felonies, and she blames her troubles on not the victims, but she blames it on drastic weight loss. She said she regrets losing 150 pounds and would have acted differently were she still heavy. And then there's Emily Nutley, whose 100-watt smile we showed you back in June somehow made its way into her mugshot in Ohio. Nutley got 3 years for having sex with a 17-year-old in her school office and refusing to stop pursuing him when he tried to break things off. The reason for the smile in the mugshot, though, still a total mystery. And you all know Christina Formella, the former special ed teacher and soccer coach, now facing 55 felony counts in Illinois. Formella allegedly groomed a student beginning at age 14 and had sex with him more than 50 times when he was just 15. When she was busted, and thank you to the body cam, police say Formella complained, and I quote, "Everybody comes after me because I'm good looking." That may not be why they came after you this time. I'm going to stop there. Let my guest weigh in. David Gerke was the attorney for the late Mary Kay Letourneau, who was also a teacher who had sex and went on to marry and have children with a student of hers named Vili Falau, a student who was just 11 when she met him. David, good to have you on the show again. Every time I tell one of these stories, I think about Mary Kay Letourneau's case because it was kind of the first one out there that blew our minds. But then you hear this woman who says, oh, the 11-year-old came on to me first. How do you think that's going to go over with the judge at sentencing time?
It does not go over at all. To me, it reflects a social misadjustment of some sort. She's immature. It's like a grade school kid talking about another grade school kid. And unfortunately, just because you reach the magic age of 18 or 21, you're still emotionally very immature to think that this 11-year-old is coming on to you.
Yeah.
That does not make sense.
And yeah, she's 32, right? So, I mean, the 32-year-old thinking an 11-year-old is coming on to you. I mean, it's one thing to say it to the detectives when you're being interrogated, and then you start to, everything gets real. Do you think that she can reverse course, fall on the sword, apologize profusely, and maybe get the good graces of the judge to, I don't know, it's capped at 40, but you can go all the way up to 40 years on this one?
Well, the judge is not going to give her that much because she doesn't have any violence in her past, no other criminal activity in her past. And I think the range is 6 to 40. And the prosecutor said as long as it's under 40, you cannot appeal. And she agreed with that. I'm thinking 10 to 15 years at the most. And then the other issue is that no one has mentioned yet is what has the effect been on the young man or the young boy? And if this was a young girl, everybody would have been telling her, oh, no, you're ruined for life, how horrible, how horrific. And they hear that and they think, I'm supposed to feel this way, and they do. And that deserves a much heavier penalty than all the guys coming up, hey, way to go, buddy, God, you banged the teacher. Wait, that's great.
He's 11, come on. He's 11, for heaven's sake.
No,
I do want to finish with this question, though, David. Honestly, I think during Mary Kay's case, it was really crazy, 7 years, and she's having babies with Vili. But do you think that the law has caught up with women and is treating them the same way it treats male teachers who do this or men who prey upon younger girls? Do you think the law is catching up and treating them the same way that men are being treated?
It is. I think that's part of the cry for equal justice, and you can't have equal justice if you have a beautiful smile at your booking picture like, well, look, she's cute. We won't punish her as much. It's got to be the same. It's either that or maybe it's global warming. Have you ever thought of that? We'll hear that probably pretty soon. Wait a minute. But no, it's you've got to treat them the same. And you know, the 6 years that, or 3 years that the smiley face got, that was a gift. And to give,
I'll say.
and I was going to say 40 years for this other one. I'm not sure that's a gift at all, but it's a.
Well, we'll be watching at sentencing to see what happens. And David, I'm going to call you back because you know what? This just keeps happening. Maybe it's because there's so much digital evidence out there these days. But will you come back again?
I will. And the digital evidence, I tell people every time I'm on your show, don't talk to the police.
Yeah.
It's not going to help you.
Well, the talking already happened on the phone, so you can't avoid that.
Right.
Thank you, David
Well,
Gerke. Good to see you
also.
again. Appreciate it.
Take care.
We'll see you again the
Great
next
show
time. Okay.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. All right, we still have more, folks. When we come back, I've got 2 videos that the criminals probably wished cameras weren't rolling at the time. First off, little advice, never slap a flight attendant. And if you do not take on the rest of the crew on the tarmac.
What did you do? What did you do to me? I
Yeah, I'm going to explain this one coming up. And then also one of New York's finest refuses to let a suspect get away just because a little water got in between them. Take a look.
Take my belt.
One public safety sergeant. I need units to Beach 8 and
Bring it up
Secret
here.
Avenue. I got a permit to jump in the water. Notify Harbor Central. I'm going to need their assistance. So I'm going to need units to cover the beach.
Jim, are you ready?
One-on-one units, right? Nick, where do you need our units?
Yeah, I got a partner that jumped in the water. We got 2 incredible videos and the stories that go right along with them coming up next. I hope, honestly, that you never need to know this, but if you're being chased by a cop, the cop's not going to give up. You can drive the wrong way down an interstate, you can leap from rooftop to rooftop, or as in the case of a cornered car thief on Long Island, you can jump into the East Rockaway Inlet. And still, the blue uniform is coming for you.
One public safety
Take my belt.
One public safety sergeant. I need units to Beach 8 and
Bring it up
Secret
here.
Avenue. I got a permit to jump in the water. Notify Harbor Central. I'm going to need their assistance. So I'm going to need units to cover the beach.
Jim, are you ready?
One-on-one units, right? Nick, where do you need our units?
As the officer approached the suspect, the suspect flails his arms. He even tries to push her underwater. But a second officer jumped in too, and together they managed to splash so much water in the guy's face that he couldn't see straight. And then they were able to get him, pulled him out, and slapped on the cuffs. 24-year-old Matthew Swafford is charged tonight with grand larceny auto, criminal possession of stolen property, and resisting arrest, and he's due back in court in October for this case. But he's got another court date next week on previous charges of first-degree robbery and, wait for it, assault on a police officer. Some kids never learn. We're going to let you know if he makes any more waves. Yes, pun intended. Okay, folks, I turn you to Drop Dead Serious, my podcast, because I've got some really good catch-up for you on Anna Walsh. Do you remember Brian Walsh, her husband, who is up on murder charges? The police say he not only killed her, he cut her into bits and then tossed her out in garbage dumpsters all around the Boston area. I've got a full, layout of that case because his trial's coming up in just a couple months. So check it out, Drop Dead Serious. In the meantime, I'm looking forward to seeing you right back here again tomorrow night for Banfield. Meantime, Cuomo starts now.